I always try to develop relationships. Developing relationships with your work staff and your vendors and your contractors, because you can learn from them as much as you can teach them. I always feel like it's a partnership. Yes, I'm paying them to do the job, but I want to trust them and I want them to trust me.
This is the Asset Champion Podcast, where we talk with facilities maintenance and asset management leaders about the industry trends, challenges, and technologies impacting your organization. This show is powered by Eptura, the global work tech company providing software solutions for people, workplaces, and assets to enable you to work your world.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. It's me, your host, Mike P., and I'm glad you're here for another episode of the Asset Champion Podcast. And I've got a great guest for you, someone you don't know yet, but I know him and I had him on my original podcast many moons ago, way back, I believe it was 2016. Is that right, Corey?
Yes, that's correct, in San Diego.
San Diego, California. We were there for an IFMA's World Workplace Conference. And even though we live practically next to each other here in the Washington, D.C. area, we didn't get to meet each other in person till an event across the country. So now, this time, today, I am coming to you live from beautiful and historic Winchester, Virginia, just a little over an hour outside of Washington, D.C. And I'm thrilled to be here to meet Corey McKnight, Facilities and Parking Division Manager for the city of Winchester. Corey, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Mike. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you again. Just saw you in Nashville.
Yes.
Prior to that, I probably hadn't seen you since San Diego.
Probably not. Although we've emailed and chatted over the years. We had a little pandemic in there disrupting things for a little while. But we're back together in real life. And this is beautiful, man. I'm in the City Hall in the city of Winchester, right?
Right. You are in Rouse City Hall.
You gave me the tour. I appreciate it. I got to see the clock tower, at least from
afar.
the upper levels of the building. I got to look up to the clock tower. You've actually been up there to change the time.
Yes. Prior to changing the brains in it, twice a year I'd have to go up and either shut the clock off or fast forward the clock an hour.
This is straight out of Back to the Future, man.
Yeah, and when it's not done at a specific time, people know.
That's right. Doc Brown and Marty McFly have been up there too. It's very reminiscent, folks, of that setting in the city that Back to the Future took place in. But anyway, I was just amazed by the history here and the fact that you get to maintain these facilities and manage some of the functionality of the city itself, this historic town. You've got modern amenities and parking meters that need to be cared for, right? The whole system.
Correct.
Here. Tell me more about what you do.
So as a dual role, a dual threat, I guess, I've always been in facilities maintenance. And then about 5 years ago, the city approached me and said, hey, you have a well-oiled machine. We have something that needs to be fixed.
All right.
So they asked me to take over the parking authority and see what I can do from a facility side. So the downtown area, we're very unique because we have 4 parking structures. So I have 4 parking garages within a stone's throw of each other. And then we have over 600 parking meters in our downtown area.
Wow.
Everybody loves them. Everybody loves parking. Everybody loves to pay to park.
That's sarcasm is coming through. But listen, you got to pay the bills and to maintain the history here. And people do come to visit. Big tourist destination here.
Sure. Every year we have the Apple Blossom Festival. We go from a city of about 30,000 to a city of about 100,000.
Wow.
For about a 2-week span.
Okay.
It's a long process, and all city employees are involved in it in one way or another. So it's an exciting time. Celebrities from all over. My birthday is around that time, so I like to think that the city throws me a big party and a parade.
It's not the Apple Blossom Festival,
it's
folks.
the Corey Festival.
It's the Corey Festival. So you now get to maintain some of the facilities that were around back at the turn of the last century. 1900, this building was built, you told me.
Correct.
And you also maintain some cool historic houses right? Tell me
Sure.
about that.
We have the Stonewall Jackson House, the George Washington Headquarters Building. We have some other historical properties that are just historic because of Winchester and who the families were. But it's great. I never thought, being in facilities maintenance, I spent 10 years in retail facilities maintenance, and then I came to the city. This year I'm celebrating my 17th year with the city.
Wow, congrats.
I love buildings. I love facilities maintenance. It's almost like it's what I was meant to do. But doing what I do for the city, I'm very lucky. Not a lot of people get to participate in the position that I'm in with such diversity when it comes to our buildings and the people that I get to work with. It's awesome.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, regardless of the types of facilities or the assets you're maintaining, the value is both in the physical maintenance, but also in what it means to the people.
Sure.
So, Corey, on this show, I do like to take just a moment to learn a little bit more of the personal side of my guests. And we had a chance to learn your origin story a little bit back on the old show. So I'll point people back to that episode. And I got to ask you, do you listen to any music that inspires you to get your job done?
Actually, I grew up in just south of Milwaukee in the 80s, so heavy metal was what it was all about. I like music that gets you pumped up. I'm always having to go back and forth to all my buildings and my vehicles, so you get about 30 seconds to a minute and a half. So you just try to put something on that puts you in the right mindset to do whatever you're going to do.
Perfect. So. Like a Enter Sandman, or what are we talking about? Like some kind of a metal or...
Oh, yeah. If you go back to the metal days, Def Leppard was my band.
All right.
Got to see them in concert. Hysteria, one of my favorite songs.
Sure.
I want to say Pyromania, but...
yeah, that was the album
let's not go there.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, metaphorically.
Set the world on fire.
Yes.
Unter Gleben, Glauben, Globen. All right.
Yeah.
I got something to say. All right, yeah. Def Leppard, that was the soundtrack of my teen years, Corey. We're on the same page there.
Absolutely.
See?
Yep.
I'm in New Jersey, you're in Wisconsin, but we're brought together with the power of music.
That's right.
That's fantastic. So, my history on the podcast, and I talk a lot about a lot of things, but you're a person who's living in that world and experiencing it. Tell me about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities in today's world of facilities and asset management.
Sure. Everybody is familiar with the fact that you can't get anything these days.
Oh, supply chain. Yeah.
Supply chain, it affects almost every aspect of what we do, from cleaning supplies to maintenance parts to vehicles.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to order a new truck in over a year and a half.
Crazy.
And even when the order form opens up next month, who knows when you're going to get it?
Right.
We just had our emergency generator at the police department. The radiator went bad. We had to replace it. I think it took 6 months to get a new one.
So what do you do in the time being?
Well, that generator actually runs the entire facility. So we had to rent a portable generator and hook it up to our transfer switch.
Okay.
Until the new radiator came in. And then, of course, it shows up 2 times. It's not the right one. And, it's same old story. But we finally got it fixed last Friday, so they're up and running. But, we face that in almost everything that we do. You're constantly having to maybe dig a little deeper, surf a little farther into the internet to try to find maybe some companies that you're not quite familiar with,
right? To
try and buy your widget or gadget or whatever it is that you need.
So I'd love to hear about your thoughts on some of the technologies and the tools and the changes. You've been in this business for a long time, over 17, 20 years. You've obviously witnessed the advancement of many technologies, software solutions. Are there any practical applications for those tools that have helped you along the way, or things that you wish you had that you don't yet have? I'd be curious to know.
Sure. We're in a unique situation with the city. We have a software that we use that covers all of the various departments, from facilities maintenance to finance to budgeting to public works. Our work order management system, when I started 17 years ago, they had just come on board with the software. So it was still, let's call it MS-DOS.
Windows 95.
Yeah, for a lack of
Start me up.
Yeah, beep 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 beep. Ring.
That's right.
It's come a long way. So now, with my facility maintenance staff, we're able to electronically do our work orders because you're not always together. We're not a group of people that hold hands every day, go to one job. I know a lot of people might think government work works like that. One supervisor, 16 workers, right?
Right. All replacing a light bulb.
Yes. But, it helps our staff as we've been able to build our departments, both on the custodial side and the maintenance side, whether it's facilities or parking. Communication is important. Getting the job done is important. Getting it done quickly is important as well.
Oh, yeah.
So with the software that we use, we're able to see what other people are doing within the department. So we're not, double dipping or wasting time going to the same job that was already done.
Cool. It definitely allows a more holistic view of the operations of not just what you're dealing with, but the entire city infrastructure.
Correct.
So where would you say you are on your digitization journey, if that's a thing? Are you trying to digitize more of the things related to facilities maintenance and asset management? I imagine in the world of parking, there's been a lot of technological advances. Are you embracing some of those? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, by all means, digitizing is great. When I started here, you had to walk into a room and you'd see 1,600 rolls of blueprints trying to figure out. Yeah, we saw them up in the attic. Yeah. So now, as we've been doing these construction projects and as we've been developing these partnerships with local businesses until we got our own scanner, we want to be able to digitize all of our blueprints and all of our O&M manuals so that everyone can reference them. When I started with the parking authority side, I'd like to think they were ahead of the game. They actually, on their maintenance side, were making YouTube videos of repairs for themselves. They had their own little YouTube channel.
Nothing wrong with that.
Whatever maintenance person walked up to the job, they could pull up the thesaurus of YouTube.
Yeah, all right.
Repairs. And I actually thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. I think that's a great idea.
Because I didn't know anything about parking when I first started.
Yeah.
Lots of equipment, lots of machinery for paying for your parking, getting your tickets and stuff like that. So, I don't think we're fully there yet, but we're trying to make as many strides as we can to help ourselves and whoever comes after us into the future.
That's awesome. Where do you stand on your TikTok channel? Are you doing any Corey McKnight dances to help train the next generation of facilities maintenance professionals?
No, I do not post TikToks. I do like to watch TikToks. We have 2 unique children in our house. They're grown adults.
Yes.
They have their dad's sense of humor. So, we're always trying to one-up each other with whatever we can find that's humorous and relates to our family.
Right. The latest trend is always fun to pass around.
Oh, yes.
We do it in our family, too. Yeah.
Yep.
It's,
but
and Snapchat.
I was getting ready to say, we talked about Snapchat. The Snapchat, I think we probably Snapchat more because you can use lots of filters and you can edit your photos. And
I took a picture of you up in the clock tower area, Corey, and added a City of Winchester filter on top. So, hey, listen, we're just a couple of Gen Z guys here.
That's it.
Learning how to use technology to communicate with the next generation. So, Corey, another thing I talk about on the show is the opportunities to be more deliberate about our asset life cycles. And capital expenditures are a huge thing for every city, every organization, the people I talk with. Where do you stand with that? And any insights you have for my audience about the challenges or opportunities in that area?
Sure. So we're actually pretty soon going to be starting our next budget cycle for FY24.
Wow.
Our budget cycle is July 1st through June 30th.
Cool.
So right about this time every year, we start ramping up and, we keep our eyes closed until the email comes from finance. Boom, the budget is ready.
Is it that time again?
And then you just curl up into a ball under your desk. And,
Understood.
Cry for a couple months.
Yep.
But one of the things that we do is, which hopefully most people do, is we look into a 5-year range. We try to forecast 5 years out, do our capital plan. HVAC units, obviously you can't replace them all at one time. So you have to gauge what's the age of this or how much maintenance have you done on it. over its life expectancy, and then try to figure out over the next 5 years, where's our best value to spend our money. Like next year, we may be looking at Parks and Rec. Last fall, facilities maintenance last fall took over Parks and Rec as far as building maintenance. So, that's a brand new asset that just came on board that we're still learning.
Okay.
So as let's say we bring our vendors in, our partners that we have long-standing relationships with, HVAC, electrical, try to get them to supply us with their best guesstimate of how much is it going to cost. If I wanted to replace these units, how much in HVAC, what's a ton going for? 3,000, 2,000 a ton. So we try to forecast at least 5 years out to see, what needs to be replaced. Carpet at the police department, water heaters, chillers, boilers. It's a never-ending cycle of equipment replacement and repairs.
I imagine it keeps you busy. And do you have the equivalent of a Leslie Knope or a Ron Swanson over at the Parks and Rec department that you have to deal with? That's my real question.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
We don't name names, but
we do not name names. Correct.
Those shows hit home for a reason. There's a little bit of truth in everything.
Absolutely. And when you live it and you work it every day and then you watch stuff like that, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so real.
What was The Office for me? When I watched The Office originally, I was in the computer, paper, and printing industry back when that show first came out. I'm like, this is way too close to home.
Yeah.
So funny. Well, listen, Corey, I don't want to let you go without giving you a chance to share any practical advice you might have for my audience of facilities maintenance and operations professionals that want to be an asset champion. What would you tell them?
What I always try to tell people, and if you looked at my LinkedIn profile, you would see, I always try to develop relationships. Developing relationships with your work staff and your vendors and your contractors. I always feel like it's a partnership. Yes, I'm paying them to do the job, but I want to trust them and I want them to trust me. So in all the years that I've been doing this, I've always felt that I've been able to make good relationships with all my vendors. And it's really helped me over the years because you can learn from them as much as you can, teach them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, developing relationships and partnerships to me, has been one of my key factors in my FM role.
Excellent. Corey, this has been fun. Thanks for
It has. Thank you.
letting me come out to your hometown, beautiful Winchester, Virginia. Everybody, check the show notes. You'll find links to visit Winchester and stop by and say hi to Corey at the City Hall if you decide to come by.
Absolutely. My door is always open.
Corey, this has been great. Appreciate the chance to catch up. Thank you so much for taking time to join me here on the Asset Champion podcast.
Thanks, Mike. It's been great to see you. Great catching up after all these years. We originally did the podcast and then we saw each other in Nashville and now here we are.
Let's not wait 7 years to do it again.
Sounds good.
And thank you, everybody, for taking time to listen to this show. I hope you found something of value. And if so, please share this podcast with a colleague or a friend, anyone who might like to join us as we continue on our journey to encourage and inspire each other to be an asset champion. Peace out.
You've been listening to the Asset Champion podcast, powered by Aptura, the epicenter of the future of work. For more about how we help organizations to engineer a thriving environment by enhancing their employee experience, workspaces, and asset value, please visit aptura.com.